morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike. I'm your host this morning here on a beautiful Sunday morning. We are going to talk about all the action from college football in Week 3 from yesterday. We are also going to cover and preview the rest of Week 2 in the NFL, and we're going to talk about all the news coming out from Tuesday until today. And you ask, why Tuesday? Well, because we have a show on Tuesdays now. That's right. We go live on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, myself and Johnny H, as we recap the week in the NFL and we preview the week coming up for college football. So we are going to get into the college football action from yesterday. We are also going to get into previewing week 2 of the NFL and get through all the news today. But with that being said, we made the announcement the other day. And you're probably wondering, where is he? Well, he's here. My co-host here on Sunday mornings. He is the man with the best beard in the business. And over on Rivet City Radio's Twitch, Off the Top Media's YouTube channel, he is the host of The Boom every Wednesday night. He is my co-host over on the Table Spot and my new co-host here on Sunday mornings on the Huddle Hub Podcast, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how you doing on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Man, I'm ready for some football. I know that, so...
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, as you heard, we are going to get into the action of the college football stuff that happened yesterday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get through all the news that came out from Tuesday to today because, as I said, we have a show on Tuesdays now. We are expanding as we are growing. So we have a Tuesday show, and also we will get and preview week 2 of the NFL. So before we get into everything, Cam, we just got to let everybody know to head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast on social media over on X, TikTok, and on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. Over on the YouTube, you hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything. You probably hear, hey, subscription? Do I have to pay something? No. That's how you follow on YouTube. You follow on X, you follow on TikTok, and on Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast. All the links to all the social medias are below in the bio on the Twitch channel. So all you have to do is click on those. It will take you right to the link that you want to go to. We encourage you to go to all of them, hit that follow button, and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. So, Cam, let's get into it. College football happened yesterday. A lot of action, especially in the top 25. A couple upsets had happened. We had unranked Georgia Tech go in and defeat number 12 Clemson 24-21. Unranked Vanderbilt defeated number 11 South Carolina 31-7, and number 16 Texas A&M upset number 8 Notre Dame 41-40. Cam, out of all these upsets, which one intrigued you the most? What upset intrigued you the most out of all these?
I think Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt hasn't beaten a ranked team in a long time.
Yeah.
So I think that was a pretty big upset, and to do it in a dominant fashion too. So. 31-7 is no close game by any means. So I think that was the upset of the weekend. I think.
You know, I told John this I said this to John many times. When you look at college football, you have to look at college football in a different fashion than you do in the NFL. Because in the NFL, it's all about, making sure you're contracting players, signing them long-term 4-year deals worth this amount of money. They don't have a transfer portal. They have free agency. And then obviously the draft and everything like that and trading. But in college football, the only thing they have for players to change teams in the 4 or 5 years that they're playing college football is the transfer portal. That's it. If you don't enter the transfer portal, you're playing for the team that you play on and you got recruited to. And the past couple of years, one of the most dominant teams in college football has been Georgia. And I said this when Georgia was on their dominant run, it was all about the recruiting timing. That about the next 2 or 3 years was going to be all about Georgia because of the recruiting classes. We are in that rotation now. 2025 is the new rotation to where we're going to start seeing schools that you wouldn't expect to come out and win games. And I think Vanderbilt came out and did that yesterday. Their recruiting is good enough. They came out and they beat a team that's in the top 25.
Yeah.
But the one game that really intrigued me yesterday was, and it was in the top 25, was the Tennessee and Georgia game. Speaking of, Tennessee had many opportunities to win this game. Many opportunities. They were up late with about 3 minutes left. They were up 38-30, and Georgia just went and drove on them scored. Then it was all about the 2-point conversion. It was like, all right, they can hold them here. They can hold on to this win. No. But then 7 seconds left. Tennessee drives downfield. They get in field goal range. Most pressure you could put on a kicker is, hey, you got 3 seconds left on this clock.
Yeah.
You got to make this, 40-something yard field goal. Sounds easy for a kicker, but when you're under that pressure, man, Cam, if you were under that pressure, what would be going through your mind if you were under that type of pressure?
I mean, this is the funny thing about it is a kicker on I think any football team, pros or collegiate level, is probably great because you take less hits. You're not getting hit for however long a football game is, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
But then the bad part about it is that sometimes it can come down to your foot. That could either tie the game, go to overtime, buy you guys some time to get back in this and win the game, or ultimately win the game. So I wouldn't want to be under that kind of pressure because that's just crippling pressure, for anybody.
And like you said, you're standing on the side. It's all about reps as well. Like, unless your team is in scoring position for you to kick a field goal or you score a touchdown, you go in for the extra point, you're not getting as many reps. You're probably kicking the ball, depending on how much you score, lucky at an average 2 times a game, 3 at that. So to be under that pressure, that's rough. That is rough. And this kid was under the pressure. He ends up missing the field goal. We go to overtime. Tennessee took the lead, 41-38, but then Georgia responded with a touchdown and game over. And the ending of this game was so controversial because Georgia ran the ball and the ball breaks the plane. It was all about whether the player's knees were down or not. And he was able to keep his knees off the ground to get that ball across the plane, score the touchdown and win. And the faces on the fans of Tennessee, man, like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because this team in Tennessee looks good.
They do.
I've been very high on them the past 2 seasons. I've been sitting here saying, like, I think Tennessee is going to start climbing those ranks. But when you look at where they're at in the top 25, they're number 15 right now. They're going to drop.
Yeah.
Because almost everybody except, I believe, one team won their games yesterday. And with that doing, everybody else is going to move up. I mean, Texas A&M beat Notre Dame in the upset yesterday. Ole Miss, as you talked about, they won against their game against Arkansas 41-35. I know that's a game that you paid a lot of attention to yesterday, a game that I didn't really get to see. So your thoughts on the Ole Miss game with Arkansas?
It was amazing. It was them battling back and forth, really just trading touchdowns for a little bit there. Until I think the defense for Ole Miss really started to wake up there, in the middle of the second half or so, and made some big stops. So they really came back and really just kind of locked down on just winning that game. So that was an incredible game too, because it was just back and forth.
South Florida, they ended up losing their game as the number 18 team, so they're probably going to move down as well. But Alabama, Utah, Texas Tech, Indiana, Michigan, Auburn, and Missouri all won their games, so they'll probably all move up in the rankings. As Tennessee is going to probably drop down. I would say Tennessee maybe at lucky be still in the top 25 come either this afternoon as late as Tuesday, because the rankings updated on Monday last week. This whole ranking system update, they got to really get on their stuff about when they're going to update this thing.
Yeah.
Because last Monday afternoon, I was looking at the rankings already, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, early in the season, they wait till Tuesday. How are they out already? But, I mean, when you have these bigger schools that are facing these smaller teams, it's a little easier to kind of recalculate how your rankings are going to be.
Yeah.
And when we get into the later end of the season where teams start getting into conference play, that's when it really starts to become a little more difficult to situate the rankings and playoffs and all that stuff. So believe it or not, we're next week's week 4 already.
Yeah.
Like,
moving fast,
man. But a lot of action yesterday in college football. I'm excited for next week 4, and me and John will preview week 4 on Tuesday. So we will have the updated rankings and everything for you guys on Tuesday for college football's top 25. So we're going to get into the news of everything that came out here in just a moment as soon as I get this situated here. Okay. But make sure you guys, after the show, are heading over to all the Huddle Hub social medias and hitting that follow button. Would be deeply appreciated as we build the channel here going through the 2025 season and beyond. Cam, the news that's been coming out throughout the week, ever since Tuesday. So the 49ers, they decided to waive kicker Jake Moody on Tuesday. And as of yesterday, Jake Moody, he has signed. I had it here too, who he signed with. Jake Moody, he was waived by the 49ers on Tuesday. He ended up signing with the Bears on Friday. Now, the Bears, they have Cairo Santos as their kicker, but they said that the reason why they're bringing Jake Moody in is to give Cairo Santos some competition. So some competition happening in Chicago with kickers. Jake Moody getting sent out of San Francisco and heading to Chicago. Do you have any thoughts on Jake Moody leaving San Francisco and going to Chicago?
I mean, it's probably a boost for the Bears. I mean, because it wasn't that long ago where I'm pretty sure the Bears were in the playoffs, and like I said, it came down to a kick again. And I believe that was when they had the infamous double doink, which cost them the game. So I mean, hey, if they're bringing in some competition, if they're trying to realistically focus on the kicker position, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, the double doink against my Eagles in the playoffs, 18-15 win. Bears went in to try and to tie it up. That was oh my gosh, that was Mitch Trubisky's rookie year as a Bear.
Yep,
man. And now he's a backup in Buffalo for the second time in his career. It's crazy. The 49ers, though, yeah, I mean, Jake Moody has had a history out in San Francisco in his short career, having trouble kicking out there. And to bring Jake Moody in to give Cairo Santos that competition, you're right. I mean, it's to test Cairo Santos, because kickers nowadays, they don't have it easy. We just talked about that a minute ago with the Tennessee kicker. They do not have it easy. It's not as easy of a thing to do in the sport of football as it used to be. And it's because it's all about positioning of not only placement of the ball and because of wind and weather and all that stuff. It's also about how stadiums are built, how the wind is coming in, how things are affecting kickers, not only by sound and everything. It's literally weather. Wind can affect it. So a lot of different factors do cause kickers to miss kicks that sometimes look makeable. So we had Eddie Pinheiro. He signed the 1-year deal with the 49ers. He is the new kicker out in San Francisco. So a young kicker coming in. He's going to be kicking for San Francisco, and they're going to be testing their new kicker out today. Do you have any thoughts on Eddie Pinheiro signing with San Francisco?
Let's just hope that it doesn't come down to a kick in this game today.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but maybe it should, just to see what he's capable of. So it's good. It's a good test for him.
Well, Eddie Pinheiro is a ex-kicker from Carolina, so he got released by Carolina. He ends up signing with the 49ers. Brock Purdy, quarterback of the 49ers, he is expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks with a form of turf toe. So Brock Purdy, quarterback of the Niners, 2 to 5 weeks. I mean, he could be back in 2 weeks. He could be back in 3, 4, or 5 weeks. This is a huge effect, I think, for the 49ers, because Mac Jones is now going to come in. He's going to be the starting quarterback for at least the next 2 weeks. Do you have any thoughts on Brock Purdy in this injury, and how much do you think this will affect the 49ers?
I'm not quite sure yet. I don't know if I've really seen anything that I would say striking with the 49ers offense. So it's going to take some time, I think. 2 to 5 weeks. I mean, that can be a short time, or like I said, in the long run, 5 weeks, that's a while. That's like, towards like the middle of the season or whatever. So it will be interesting to see a quote unquote new Mr. Irrelevant kind of come in and kind of fill that spot for Brock Purdy. See what he does. It's all about how he meshes well with the team as basically the new captain, essentially, of this offense.
Yeah, Mac Jones, when he got drafted by the Patriots, this was post Brady. He was deemed as like the next Tom Brady for New England, and New England thought that. and it was just a failed experiment. We also see Mac Jones end up in Jacksonville last year to where he had a 46.7 completion percentage. It wasn't a bad completion percentage, but 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in the time that he was on the field for Jacksonville. I mean, it's almost like average statistics. So it's like San Francisco is hoping that he can come in and keep them afloat until Brock Purdy comes back. But this was unfortunate for San Francisco, especially with all the moves that they made this offseason on their offense and their defense. I mean, this team kind of went and said, we're going to unload on the salary cap that we have, but we're also going to try and rebuild with players that we know can come in and take care of business. So, and when Mac Jones came in, there was that big rave of, are the 49ers going to sign Purdy? Is Mac Jones going to be the guy for the future? Because he kind of does fit in this system, especially with Harbaugh. And Harbaugh is a quarterback-friendly coach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look what he did years ago for Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick came out and had the success he did instantly. So, I mean, we know he's a quarterback-friendly coach, so I would expect Mac Jones to maybe have some improvement in this next start or two. And especially today against the Saints. So, speaking of the Saints did have a trade with the Patriots this week. The Saints received wide receiver Jalen Polk and a 2028 7th-round pick. And in return, the Patriots received a 2027 6th-round pick. So the Saints adding to their wide receiving core. They got Rashid Shaheed out there. I mean, the receiving core out in New Orleans looks good, but I don't think that's the questionable round. I think the questionable position. I think the quarterback position is more at question. I think the offensive line is more at question. But your thoughts on Jalen Polk coming into New Orleans, if you have any?
I mean, not many, but I do agree with you with the questionable position being quarterback position. Because it's just like, a question mark. Like who is this guy now? So I definitely think. I mean, when they had Derek Carr. I thought they could have been good. They just really needed a few more pieces because I really like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr really meshed well in New Orleans when he was there.
Yeah.
I definitely think they need to make a bigger splash at quarterback. And I think they should be okay. Honestly, I mean, I don't think they will be all that bad once they fix that position. But like I said, their receiving core, I don't think is the issue right now.
Me and John have talked about the quarterback position in length out in New Orleans. And when you look at their quarterback room, they got, Spencer Rattler, who's in his second year. He is by default the starting quarterback because he is the longest tenured quarterback out in New Orleans. Second year quarterback, and he is the longest tenured quarterback in New Orleans.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Tyler Shough, he's the one that got drafted in the second round in the 2025 NFL draft, and he was expected to be the starter. A lot of people thought Tyler Shough was going to come in and be the guy, and he ends up not being the guy. I think Spencer Rattler got it by default because of being there the longest, but I don't see if the Saints are, let's say, 1-5 going into week 6, or maybe 2-4 going into week 7. I see Tyler Shough taking over under center very quickly and then putting that kid in. So Quinshon Judkins, we talked about him last week. He was the final player from the 2025 NFL draft to sign his contract. He was activated for today's game against the Ravens. So Quinshon Judkins, they're expecting him to see some carries today, but don't expect a lot. They're just trying to pretty much try and work him into the plays, get him kind of used to the way things are in the NFL because he is a rookie. Tyler Smith, offensive guard of the Cowboys. He signed a $96 million extension. He is now the highest paid guard in football. Now, Cam, this is your first show here on the Huddle Hub podcast, your debut episode. So me and John have talked in length about the Cowboys and their contract situations. We know the trade with Micah Parsons before the season started with the Packers. So what's your thoughts on this? Because Jerry seems to be spending money on players, but did not want to spend the money on Micah. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems like he's spending the necessary money on the wrong players, I think. Because I think Micah Parsons, I think he's going to prove me wrong because I really didn't see Micah Parsons doing a whole lot in Green Bay. But just from what we see from just their first 2 games that they've had already, Micah Parsons has been a pretty big role on defense. So I think he's going to have an amazing year, and it's just going to make Jerry look not so smart for letting him go and not paying him. So, yeah, he's spending a lot of money, but he's spending a lot of money on players that I don't think it's worth spending the money on, and you just let go one of your best defensive players. So I just think it was a bad move.
Well, Tyler Smith is a pretty big addition to that offensive line. He is a pretty important piece to the offensive line, but in regards to that, one player can't guard the whole offense. He's just one lineman. All your other guys, your right guard, your left, your right tackle, your left tackle, and even the tight end at times has to block. So you're spending $96 million on a guard who is going to be a significant piece to your offensive line, but was it worth spending that money? Because if he's the only one doing his job and the other ones aren't, you're going to have money to go out and get players that are going to come in and do their job. So the money would have been worth it for Micah because we know what Micah Parsons can do.
Right.
He's a hell of a player, amazing player, but that's defensive side of the ball. That's a totally different monster.
Yeah.
So Travis Kelce, he went on, he had an interview earlier this week, and he is taking accountability for Xavier Worthy's injury in their collision on the 4th play of their opening game last Friday against the Chargers. He's saying that he owes him big time after their collision in the Week 1 game against the Chargers. So he's going to pay him back somehow. He's going to owe him. So, but Travis Kelce taking the accountability for the collision. Couple other pieces coming out of Thursday's game. Now, Tam, there was a game on Thursday. As we know, the Commanders losing to the Packers on Thursday Night Football. Couple injuries coming out of that. Austin Eckler, running back of the Commanders, he tore his Achilles in the game on Thursday. He will miss the rest of the 2025 season. Now, the reason why I bring this up, Cam, is because the Commanders went out and they traded Brian Robinson Jr. to the 49ers, who was, some would say the biggest piece to the running back room for the Commanders. Now, Austin Eckler, he would come in at times and he would take a couple snaps here and there. How much do you think this affects the Commanders running back room moving forward now that Austin Eckler is done for the year?
It affects it a lot. I don't think they realistically ran the ball all that effectively, I think, in this game against the Packers. And then with Eckler out, I think it's going to get a lot tougher. I do believe. I don't know what their plan is right now. But yeah, it definitely hurts them, especially down the stretch, when they're trying to, get back to where they were last year. So it's definitely going to be a struggle for them, and just this offense as a whole.
Yeah, I like I said, I think this was a huge hit for the Commanders when they traded away Brian Robinson Jr. And now that Austin Eckler's down, that, you're solely going to rely on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
When the whole trade went down for Brian Robinson Jr., I came on the show literally after that trade happened and said that if the things don't work out for your running backs, you're going to rely on Jaden Daniels. You're going to run him into the ground. And now that Austin Eckler's down, it's going to be all about Jaden running that ball and throwing. So that happened pretty significantly early in the season. So last two things, Jaden Reed, wide receiver of the Packers, he fractured his collarbone in Thursday's game, win over the Commanders. He's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. When you watch the Packers on Thursday night, Cam, this team literally looks complete on offense.
Yes.
Now, the defense, from what I've seen, the defense can use some cleanup work, even with Micah Parsons on the defensive side of the ball. But the offense, they just seem in sync. And Tucker Kraft, the tight end, had a big game. Big game. So how much do you think Jaden Reed being out is going to affect the Packers, or will it affect them at all?
I don't think so. It shouldn't, at least. I do agree with you. I think they do have some cleanup work to do on defense. But I don't think it's going to affect them so much to where this defense is just going to completely fall apart. I think they'll make the necessary adjustments that they need to, especially like I said, with the offense, clicking on all cylinders, as you said. I just believe that this defense is really going to step up and help them out and make sure that they win football games. So
Yeah, I think the Packers will make the adjustment as well. Jaden Reed, is he a big piece to the offense? He is, but you have Romeo Dobbs, again, Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs at running back. I mean, and Jordan Love can run too. He can run the ball. So, I mean, this offense, I think, is in a okay position with the fact that Jaden Reed's going to be gone for 6 to 8 weeks. I don't think it will affect them as much either. So, and then the last thing is Dietrich Wise, defensive end of the Commanders. He had a season-ending quad injury in Thursday's game, so he will miss the rest of the 2025 NFL season. So that's all for the news. So, Cam, we're going to take about a 30 to 45-second break, and then we'll be right back to preview Week 2. The rest of Week 2 of the NFL right after this. So make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub podcast social medias right now and hitting that follow button on YouTube, hitting that subscribe button. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe on the YouTube. You just hit the subscribe button to follow. X, TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod as well as you follow. And then over on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast, and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. Cam, we're going to get into Week 2's action. You get confused, man, because it's Week 3 of the college football season. Yeah. Going into Week 4, and it's Week 2 of the NFL. You always got to remember that the NFL is always like a week or two behind because college football starts like right at the back end of August. So we got 2 more segments though. We're going to get through talk about Week 2 of the NFL, and then Cam, me and you have a pick challenge that we're going to be doing, but we're going to be doing it a little different than me and John do. Me and John do a week by week pick, and we've been doing this pick challenge for about 7 years now. He's kicked my ass in every one of them. I have not won one pick challenge yet. He is the pick master for a reason. But how we're going to do it is we're going to pick who we think is going to win the divisions, and then we're going to pick conference champions and Super Bowl champions. So we'll do that before we get out of here today. But first, we're going to get into Week 2's action. Thursday Night Football, Packers ended up defeating the Commanders 27-18. Cam, again, the Packers are really looking good right now, looking like the most complete team in football. When you watch them, a very exciting team to watch. What's your expectancy of the Packers moving forward?
Like I said, if they continue to play like this, it's probably going to be sheer dominance, I think, in the NFC. And for me, watching this game though, I would say the only thing that kind of worries me about them is I think sometimes they get kind of impatient or maybe sometimes impulsive on offense. I think they look for the deep ball too much. Like I said, I think they need to realistically focus on running the ball more, or some more, like shorter routes down the field. Because it's great to always have the deep ball, obviously, but to go to that, to go to the well too many times, I think is just kind of detrimental to their offense and their players in general. So I think for me, I think I want to see a little bit more patience. I think with this offense, but other than that, like I said, as you said, they look like the most complete. On defense and on offense for that matter. So, except the NFC's got some competition, I would say.
Fair assessment. And I can agree with you. You got Josh Jacobs at running back, who is a top-tier running back in this league. When he was out in Vegas, he literally at times carried that team to wins. Yeah. And ending up in Green Bay, you sit there and think, okay, you're in a better situation now to where you don't have to carry that load, but still expect to be a top-tier running back, So I can agree with you. They take a lot of long shots downfield, and when they don't need to, that double coverage at times. I can agree with that. Get Josh Jacobs in there a little bit. Slow down, pace yourself, and especially if you're the more dominant team on the field, and you know you're going to win this game, pace yourself.
Yeah.
Do some work and you can always prepare, for example, say the Packers are playing, they played the Commanders this week. Say they played, a division team next week, like the Vikings or the Lions or the Bears. You can kind of do some prep work in the middle of this game if you know you're going to win for next week. I mean, that's not necessarily how it works, but in hindsight, you could run some stuff and test some stuff in a game that you're going to end up winning. Let's get into the rest of the week one's action. Giants, Cowboys today. Cam, I see dominance by the Cowboys in this game. I mean, the Giants, even with Russell Wilson, that offensive line does not look good in New York. Your thoughts on the Cowboys Giants?
Yeah, no, it was a very disappointing week one for the Giants. You had people like Malik Neighbors, on the sideline, just in utter frustration with the coaches and just how the way they played and whatnot have you. They said Russell Wilson's basically out there running for his life because the offensive line is just crumples so fast. And like I said, the Cowboys against the Eagles, like I said, as much as I hate to admit this, they look great. They honestly did. They just missed a couple of deep balls down the field, and that honestly cost them the game. So I should see, as you said, sheer dominance by the Cowboys. No brainer here. I think the Cowboys run over the Giants.
Yeah, I said it to Giants, and I'm an Eagles fan, but I'll sit here and admit it. If Dak hits those two deep balls to CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys end up winning that game because it puts them in the position, and the Cowboys were playing great in that game against Philly.
Yeah.
So I could see the dominant factor in Dallas today over the Giants. Seahawks and Steelers out in Pittsburgh. Cam, your thoughts on the Steelers, man? Aaron Rodgers throws 4 touchdowns last week. Looked good. A lot of people didn't expect to see that. Do you think we could see a continuance of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh today against Seattle?
I hope so. We'll definitely have to see if lightning strikes twice. Who knows? I think this is kind of their true test. Aaron Rodgers' true test for sure. To see if if that wasn't just a fluke, and if that's all he's got left in the tank. So let's see if he repeats the same success last week. This is their their home opener essentially in Pittsburgh. So let's see what happens. I'm taking the Steelers though. I think they definitely have a better option. I definitely want to see that defense wake up though. I think the defense definitely was asleep for most of that game against the Jets. They had a lot of costly plays, so I definitely want to see the Steelers defense return to form as we know them to be. So
I could see their defense waking up this week. I mean, you go back and watch that Jets game. There were a couple situations to where the Jets should not have gotten away with what they got away with.
Yeah.
And I think the Pittsburgh defense wakes up this week and fixes those issues. But Rodgers looking good, and we'll see what happens today. 1 p.m. kickoff out in Pittsburgh. The Rams head out to Tennessee to take on the Titans today. Cam, I mean, the Titans, they were expecting to start Will Levis. He went out with a season-ending shoulder injury during the offseason, went out, drafted Cam Ward. I mean, he looked good last week, but the Titans still the same, end up losing their game. What are you looking for in the Rams-Titans game today?
Like I said, I'm looking for, I guess, more development with Cam Ward. Like I said, I'm very, very zoned in on him. There's a lot of hype with Cam Ward right now. So I'm looking to see a little bit more improvement this week for him. I think I'm taking the Rams though. Again, the Rams are just more seasoned. The Rams have been in these kinds of positions before already. They've had their team longer. Titans right now are kind of in a reset. So I'm taking the Rams. Matthew Stafford I think will look good in this game as well. So the Rams over the Titans.
The Bills were down 40-25 with 6 minutes left. And they come back and beat the Ravens last week on Sunday Night Football in a shootout. Exciting game. The Bills are ending up going out to New York today. They're going to be playing the Jets. Your thoughts on this one? What are you looking for in this game?
If I'm the Jets, I'm nervous because that was one heck of a comeback from the Bills. And then, like I said, the crushing loss to Pittsburgh last week when they played a hell of a game. Like I said, the Jets look great. They do. They look like a legit offensive threat to any team right now. So I'm expecting a shootout, honestly, between these two teams once again. But I'm taking the Bills.
I can agree with the shootout thought because Justin Fields is no pushover quarterback. And the Jets offense, you look at the Jets offense, the wide receiver position, the tight end position, even the running back position, they are set. I think the questionable thing for the Jets is that offensive line. I mean, Justin Fields at times, even against Pittsburgh last week, looked a little rushed. So if that offensive line has cleaned itself up, they might have an opportunity against Buffalo today. But Buffalo, have no fear. And it was said, at the beginning of this week on our Tuesday, I said this to John. Buffalo, if you're down by 15 with 6 minutes left, don't worry. You have Josh Allen under center.
Yeah.
When number 17 is under center, you should have the confidence that you have an opportunity, even with 5 minutes left, to come back from being down 14. Yeah. So, it's going to be a great game out in New York today as the Bills take on the Jets. Patriots, Dolphins are also going to be in an AFC East matchup. Big AFC East matchup today. Bills, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins. Dolphins last week, man, look good.
No, not at all.
And the Patriots have high expectations this year. So what are you looking for in the Patriots-Dolphins game?
I mean, with all this high praise, with Patriots fans saying that the Patriots are going to make the playoffs this year, they should win this game easily, I think, because the Dolphins just did not look good at all in any aspect, defensively or offensively. So I don't know. This is tough for me. I'm going to say the Patriots, honestly. But I do think it won't surprise me if the Dolphins win this game. The Dolphins definitely have something to prove. After basically getting embarrassed week 1 by the Colts. So, but I'm going to take the Patriots on this one.
I think there is a small resurgence in Indianapolis right now. A lot of people didn't expect Daniel Jones to come out and do what he did last week. Yeah. And, I mean, he's going to have a test today when they take on the Broncos. It's going to be a test today. That Broncos defense is no pushover. But, I think we've seen a resurgence of Daniel Jones out in Indy last week, and they got a lot of confidence going into their game against Denver. We'll talk about that one in a few moments. But we got the Jaguars heading out to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Now, Joe Burrow and the Bengals last week, they struggled a little bit, still picked up the win over the Browns, but there was a little bit of a struggle on the offensive side of the ball. You would think, okay, the defense makes sense. They've been struggling on defense for the past 2 years.
Yeah. But
the offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Noah Fant, the tight end, looked good, and they were expecting Mike Gesicki to be the tight end. But your thoughts on Cincinnati and Jacksonville today?
I'm expecting the Bengals to clean it up. Again, they can't have another year like last year where they looked great in a lot of those games, but they just could not pull it off. They just could not close out games. So I'm expecting today to be a more of a definitive victory over the Jaguars. I'm expecting high things, a lot of good things from Joe Burrow this season, especially. I just think he's going to come back with a vengeance, I think, after last season. So I'm taking the Bengals.
Now, about mid-season, we start doing our predictions on who we think might win league MVP. I'm saying this right now. My prediction all season is Joe Burrow. I think he had it last year, but because of the Bengals record and not making the playoffs and everything, I think that got stripped away from him. He had the statistics. Everything looked good. It lined up for him to be the MVP. But your MVP is going to be a part of a winning team. And Josh Allen, Buffalo, then obviously that's there. They made it to the AFC title game and lost. So the 49ers head out to New Orleans to take on the Saints today. Brock Purdy, obviously not going to be in. We talked about that a few moments ago. What are you looking for in the 49ers Saints game today?
Like I said, it's going to be a test, I think, for the 49ers with Brock Purdy out. Again, this is another rough one. I would say the 49ers. I would say this is going to be a low scoring game because both offenses really don't have an identity right now, especially the Saints. But I would say with the Niners losing Brock Purdy, they're going to struggle with who they're supposed to be offensively. So I'm expecting this to be a low scoring game because of that reason. But I would say the 49ers.
Not only that, George Kittle's out for a couple weeks with his injury. Christian McCaffrey he's limited for reps. So this offense is a little beat up right now out in San Francisco. So and the wide receiving core isn't fully put together either. They have injuries on that part of the ball, part of the offense as well. So I'm with you. I can see San Francisco winning this game as well, but it's going to be a low scoring game. It is. We got the Browns heading out to Baltimore to take on the Ravens in an AFC North matchup. Browns, again, last week looked good against Cincinnati. Couldn't pick up the win, though. Joe Flacco going back and playing against his old team, the team he got drafted to, the team he played many, many years for. So what are you looking for in the Browns-Ravens game today?
This is, I think this is the revenge for the Ravens losing to the Bills. So I expect them to come out with a vengeance. There's no way. I don't think they lose 2 games in a row and go 0-2. So yeah, I'm expecting the Ravens to win this game.
I'm gonna say this: I wouldn't sleep on Cleveland. I wouldn't.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
I mean, Joe Flacco, he had a resurgence almost 2 years ago when he came in. I mean, remember the time the Browns 5 quarterbacks and they made it to the playoffs, you know, and Joe Flacco was the one to do it. And I believe they got a playoff win too against Pittsburgh, you know. So
yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't sleep on Cleveland because their defense as well. And Quinshon Judkins, he's a hell of a running back. If he gets more reps than he is expected, I could see the Browns being in this game today and could end up surprising Baltimore. So I would not sleep on Cleveland. We got the Bears heading out to Detroit to take on the Lions in an NFC North matchup. What are you looking for in the Bears-Lions game?
This is rough for, I think, both teams. The Lions didn't really look like the Lions of the last 2 seasons. And I expected more from the Bears. Again, they had a really rough go last year. You know, Caleb Williams, I mean, he looks great. It's just, like I said, again, this is another team that can't close out games. So I would say the Lions, I guess. You know, again, the Bears, they always come out looking great or whatever, and then it's just like they just take their foot off the gas, and they take the foot off the gas too soon, and somehow managed to lose games like they did against the Vikings. They looked great against the Vikings, and they just allowed the Vikings to get back in it and win that game. So I can expect something similar to this. It's just the Bears' MO. It's just what they're known to do. But I'm definitely taking the Lions, and hopefully we see the Lions return to form and look like the Lions of old.
I think the key thing is, and you said it, keeping their foot on the gas pedal. I think Chicago, if they come in and keep their foot on the gas pedal, score early, score often, they can win this ball game. I mean, Detroit, and I said this at the beginning of the year during the offseason, during all the predictions and all that stuff, I said I feel like Detroit kind of is going to be taking a step back this year. I don't see Detroit coming out and going 15-2. I don't see them going 14-3, even 13-4. I see at best maybe 12 wins in Detroit. I have them going 10-7. I do. I don't have them winning the NFC North. I see them taking a slight step back this year and getting to the point where people expect Detroit to be at. I mean, yeah, they've looked good the past couple of years, but sometimes that wears off.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, teams can be good for a couple of years. I mean, Kansas City, look at Kansas City, the run they were on, they got shut down last year.
Yeah.
You know, people are expecting them to pick it back up. But you go back to last week, and last week against the Chargers, they looked kind of good, but they didn't look like Kansas City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, the Bears, they keep their foot on the gas, score often and score early in drives. I think they got an opportunity to win this game today. 4 o'clock set of games. The Broncos head out to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Again, the Colts last week. I mean, a resurgence for Daniel Jones. The Broncos defense, though, we know the defense is good. They just didn't look good last week. So your thoughts on this one? What are you looking for in the Broncos-Colts game today?
I mean, again, I guess the Giants strike once again for being the factory of hard resets for players that you know we thought were potentially done. Yeah. So definitely didn't expect Daniel Jones to come out looking the way he did for sure. He looks like an absolute beast right now. So like I said, this is going to be another good test for him against that Broncos defense. I think I'm taking the Colts. I think the Colts are going to surprise a lot of people this year, especially with Daniel Jones, this resurgence that they're having right now. So yeah, it could be a close game too. It just also could be another shootout.
Yeah, again, there was a lot of confidence built up in Indianapolis last week with that dominating win over the Dolphins. And yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones, we know what happened out in New York, and he ends up in Minnesota late last year. And now being in Indianapolis, the starting quarterback after Anthony Richardson gets benched. I said it that I think Anthony Richardson, he was a bust. I mean, he may fit in another system somewhere down the line, but in Indianapolis, no. I think Daniel Jones, if he can continue playing the way that he played last week throughout the rest of the season, I think he ends up getting the contract. I think he ends up getting extended. I think Indianapolis will move forward with him, and I think Anthony Richardson ends up in a new uniform next year. I don't see him staying in Indianapolis.
For sure.
So the Panthers head out to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. What are you looking for in the Panthers-Cardinals game?
This is another team with the Cardinals. I think is a make or break year. Kyler Murray coming in the league with such high praise, and hasn't really done a whole lot since then. With this Cardinals team, I think they had maybe 1 or 2 good years, if that, but haven't really done much since then. Again, with the Panthers, they did a lot of good things. They did a lot of great things towards the end of the season. Now let's see if they can do that throughout, the beginning half, the middle, and beginning of the end of the season. Like I said, Bryce Young definitely improved a lot. So I'm really rooting for him because I think he really is starting to come into his own as a quarterback, hopefully. And let's just hope that he doesn't revert back to just the struggles that he's had with Carolina right now. But I'm taking the Cardinals. I really just think they have a lot to prove right now, especially with Kyler Murray. And I really think they're going to try to push, potential for, a potential playoff run towards the end of the season. So I got the Cardinals winning this one.
Yeah, we've seen Bryce Young have improvement after getting benched last year because he got benched for about 2 weeks, and then they put him back in, and he had the improvement. Last week, did he struggle? Yes, but I wouldn't necessarily blame Bryce Young fully on that struggle. That offensive line just has a problem with blocking. I mean, he went into the fourth quarter with only like 42 passing yards, which is not good.
No.
Not good at all. And when you have wide receivers like Terry McMillan and Xavier Legette, I mean, those are 2 what could be top tier wide receivers in this league if they had an opportunity to get the ball sent to them. But when your quarterback's, running for his life, he can't make that split decision to throw to a wide receiver. And if they're not getting open, it doesn't help him.
Yeah.
So could I see improvement in Bryce Young? Yes, but you need to get your offensive line put together. Look what Chicago did in the offseason. They went out and they completely revamped their offensive line. Caleb Williams looked good last week. Yeah, they lost to Minnesota. The game ended badly for them. They dropped the ball. They took their foot off the gas. Again, if Chicago keeps their foot on the gas, they can win ball games. If Carolina uses that same formula that Chicago used and revamp their offensive line and get the right offensive line in there, I think Bryce Young could have a successful, not only season, but career in Carolina. So, but I'm going Arizona on this one as well. I can't trust, I'm pulling for Bryce Young. I'm rooting for him as well. Yeah. I'm rooting for the Panthers, but right now they're making it hard.
Yeah.
They're making it hard. Final game of the 4 o'clock set, the Eagles and the Chiefs out in Kansas City. Rematch of Super Bowl 59. We know what happened last time these 2 teams met in the Super Bowl. Eagles, pure dominance. What are you expecting from Philly and Kansas City today?
Well, honestly, skipping ahead here, I do have the Eagles repeating in the Super Bowl this year, or we'll come, next year, whatever. But I will say, I think against the Cowboys, they didn't look like they didn't necessarily blow me away. I would say they look okay, but they didn't look like the Eagles that just won the Super Bowl, I guess you could say. So I'm expecting a massive improvement there, because I think this is a winnable game. The Chiefs are hurting. The Chiefs. I said this against the Chargers. That game for me, the Chiefs looked the most normal or below average that they have looked since they played the Buccaneers back when they had Tom Brady. That was when they looked the most normal. Like this just doesn't look like Kansas City to me at all. It doesn't look like it. Doesn't feel like it. They're not playing like it. They're hurting on offense. They're hurting on the wide receiver depth. So I think this is an easily winnable game. I really do. So I'm expecting the dominance factor from the Eagles to come back, much like we saw in the Super Bowl when these 2 played. So I'm taking the Eagles.
If you go back to the beginning of the 2024 season, the Eagles, their bye week came in week 5, fairly early bye week. Okay. Yeah. They were 2-1 going into the bye week. The defense looked rough. The offense looked rough. You go back to the Cowboys game last week, the defense looked rough. Maybe it didn't help that Jalen Carter, spit on Dak Prescott and got ejected.
Yeah.
He was a big factor for the middle of the field to put pressure on Dak. Him not being there, that was huge. The defensive backs, you got to look. This is the youngest defense in the league right now. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship. This is a very, very young defensive backfield. You don't have Darius Slay there no more. Defensive line, you ain't got Brandon Graham or Fletcher Cox anymore. This is a very young team. So they do have some stuff that they not only have to clean up, but they also have to learn to kind of, because you also have some new guys that are in there like Jalen Hunt. New guys that are still kind of getting comfortable in the system. Is this a winnable game for Philly? Yeah, it is. The other thing is Jalen Hurts needs to start looking in the direction of his key receivers like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown last week, 1 target for 8 yards. That's insane. A.J. Brown, one of the top wide receivers in this league, gets targeted 2 times, I think, for 8 yards. 1 completion. Devontae Smith, I think he had like 3 targets last week for like 20 yards. Jahan Dotson had the most receiving yards. Jahan Dotson. Okay? Your third wide receiver, your slot guy. Dallas Goedert, sorry. He had the tight end. I mean, and even Saquon, he didn't have as many carries as he did in week 1 last year. He started off not as hot. So Philly, if they pick up their offense the way they left off last year, then I think they can come out and have the dominant game that they had in the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs are hurting. Xavier Worthy being out right now. They're got to rely on Hollywood Brown, who John has said he thinks is the best wide receiver in Kansas City. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who is a key wide receiver in Kansas City as well. A lot of people don't think so, but he is. So the Chiefs, they got brought back down to earth. Yeah, you're right. They looked as normal as they did against Tampa Bay. Not as dominant as they did in the years between.
Yeah.
But this is a big game. That's why this game is deemed the game of the week. And it's I'm not just saying that because I'm an Eagles fan. I'm saying that because they are deeming it the game of the week on TV. This is a big game. It is. And it's bigger than people think it is, even though they're on separate sides, AFC, NFC. It's still huge. Let's get over to the Sunday night game. The Falcons head out to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. What are you looking for in the Sunday nighter?
I'm definitely looking to get, I guess, more familiar with the Falcons offense, I guess. Again, they've had a couple of, shuffling of the cards for them. They didn't look too bad last week. But I think they definitely have room for improvement for sure. And like I said, the Vikings, dude, like I said, just for them to just stick with that game against the Bears, even their head coach, looking JJ McCarthy in the eyes and telling him, you will be the reason that we come back and win this game. That's confidence right there. That's a real coach, I think, and I think they're golden. They are riding the high off of that game. I feel like right now, and I think I think they're going to especially surprise me, because I really didn't know what to expect from them. This being essentially this basically is JJ McCarthy's rookie season since he was hurt, his actual rookie season. So to do that against the Bears, I think was very impressive, and to just stick with it and just never stop playing was very impressive. I'm gonna take the Vikings. I think again, it's just that confidence boost. It's just that them riding high off that Bears game. I think they will continue to do what they've been doing, which is great things on offense.
You can always feed off the confidence of the game that you played the week before. You can just build off that momentum, and they have a lot of momentum coming out of that Monday nighter against Chicago. Yeah. They do. Atlanta, you're starting Michael Penix Jr., who's in his 2nd year. This is going to be his first. Well, it's supposed to be his first full season. But in my eyes, I'm saying this right now, I think if they are 1-5 going into week 6 or 2-4 going into week 6, I think Kirk Cousins comes back in.
Yeah.
I think that's why they did not make any moves on getting rid of Kirk Cousins. I think he is their back pocket quarterback. He is. He made a lot of mistakes on the back end of the year last year, a lot of interceptions, which got him benched. I think he can redeem himself and be that back pocket quarterback that if Michael Penix kind of starts to fall a little bit, I think they say, okay, we'll pick you up. Don't let your confidence die away. Keep your confidence, but we're going to put Kirk back in because he has the experience. He can get us back on track. So I'm going with Atlanta on this one this week. I think Atlanta will get their stuff back together after last week. Minnesota, I like Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. I do. I think he's a great motivator. But again, J.J. McCarthy, he's in his rookie year. Technically he's not, but he is because, like you said, with the injury. So I think the experience factor of a big game. Michael Penix was put in that position once last year with a big game, having the opportunity to possibly make the playoffs, but they missed it last year. I think that experience factor will come into play a little bit with Michael Penix, and that's why I think the Falcons will win this game. Not by a big margin, just, a field goal, maybe. He'll put him in that position. Let's go over to the Monday night games. There are 2 Monday night games this week, Cam. The first one that kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Buccaneers head out to Houston to take on the Texans. Texans, they pretty much picked up where they left off last year. They struggled, went 10-7, won the division, made the playoffs. They came out and surprised us in the wild card round, but then they went into the division round and got beat. That was that. This team still looks as rough as they did last year, and this is C.J. Stroud's third year. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they're missing some pieces to their puzzle, but I still think Tampa Bay can be that dominant team even with the missing pieces of their puzzle. So what are you looking for in Tampa Bay and Houston on Monday night?
Man, I just want to see, like I said, some kind of improvement from the Texans. I'm a huge CJ Stroud guy. I really am. I think he's an incredible quarterback. But I can't trust that offensive line. They crumble. They're just not giving him enough time, and they just don't look very good at all. So them struggling is just I just don't have any faith in them at all, really, right now. So hopefully they definitely clean things up. But the Buccaneers, like I said, this is one of my teams that I'm really hyper focused on this season. I think Baker Mayfield has a great year. I really do. Last year, I think he impressed some people, a lot of people for that matter. Even with them missing a couple of pieces, to their puzzle right now. I think they come out and win this game. Again, I think they're just a more complete team right now. Kind of struggled here and there last week, but I definitely think they clean things up on offense and defense for that matter. But I'm taking the Bucs in this one.
Second Monday night game starts 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Chargers and the Raiders in an AFC West matchup. The Raiders looked good last week. Geno Smith ends up in the Raiders record book. It was his debut as a Raider. He ended up throwing for 362 passing yards, which is the most passing yards in a Raiders debut. Chargers came out. They defeated the defending AFC champion Chiefs out in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Chargers starting off hot. Raiders starting off hot. What are you looking for in this Monday nighter?
Again, I think this is two franchises that are they're definitely trying to turn their past fortunes around. So we could actually see a good game between the Raiders and the Chargers. I like Geno Smith. I think I always have for a while. I definitely liked his time in Seattle. I felt like he could have been. They could have given him maybe one more year in Seattle. Really stack that offense, really stack that defense, and just give him one more go in Seattle. Before eventually moving on from Geno Smith. So for them to, for the Raiders to pick him up, I think is a great pickup for him, for them at quarterback. And again, the Chargers, again, the way they played against Kansas City last week, they are playing like just with this sense of urgency that I've never seen from them before. So this honestly could be a shootout. So this is a tough one to really predict right now. I'm going to say the Chargers. I think their sense of urgency is just a little bit more than what the Raiders are doing right now. Justin Herbert is definitely playing like he's got something to prove this season. So
I'm very big on Vegas this year. I've been big on Vegas for the past 2 seasons now. I'm taking the Raiders in this one. I think they come out. So when I did my predictions back during the offseason, I did the crazy prediction of the Chargers going 15-2. And when you look at their schedule, it's like, how can you not sit here and say they can't go 15-2? Give yourself an opportunity to look at the Chargers schedule and tell me they can't go 15-2 with a Raiders loss. You know what I mean? And I think I forget what other game I have them losing in my predictions, but I think it can be real. I do. And I think this will be the Raiders' loss that they suffer because the Raiders are home. And when the Raiders play at home, you look at the history of them playing at home, if they lose by maybe one score or less.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the Raiders have a huge opportunity to go out into the spotlight of Monday Night Football and beat the Chargers this week. That's why I'm going with the Raiders. But that's that for the Week 2 preview for the NFL. Real quick with me and John's pick challenge. Me and John have 6 games different this week. We have I took the Patriots, he took the Dolphins, I took the Bears, he took the Lions, I took the Broncos, he took the Colts. I have the Eagles, he has the Chiefs. I took the Falcons, he took the Vikings, and then I took the Raiders and he took the Chargers. So those are our differences for our pick challenge. Real quick, Cam, we said that we were going to be doing a full season pick challenge to see who can come closer to guessing. So before we get out of here, let's do that real quick. Cam, who do you got winning the NFC East this year?
I have the Eagles.
Okay. I got the Eagles as well. Who do you got winning the NFC West?
The NFC West, I got the Rams.
Okay. I have the 49ers winning the NFC West. I think it's going to be a tight race between the Niners and Rams. It'll probably come down to like who wins that series between them.
Yeah.
The power of victory. But I'm going 49ers in the NFC West. The NFC North, who do you got?
I got the Packers.
I have the Packers as well. I think the Packers are going to dominate the NFC North this year. In the NFC South, who do you got?
I got the Buccaneers.
Same. In the AFC East, who do you got?
I got the Bills.
Okay. I got the Bills as well. In the AFC West, who do you got?
I got the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, a lot of people have questioned me on this one. A lot of people question me, how can I pick the Raiders? I don't think the Chiefs have the dominant team to win this division this year. I think the Raiders or the Broncos. Fair. Yeah, I think the Raiders or the Broncos step up. I mean, even the Chargers. You know, actually the Raiders and Chargers are the two. Not the Broncos. I think the Raiders or the Chargers end up being the one to be the fronter for the AFC West. In the AFC North, who do you got?
I got the Cincinnati Bengals.
I got the Bengals as well. I'll say this right now: the Steelers were very close, second, but I got the Bengals as well. And in the AFC South, who do you got?
I got the Colts.
This was going to be my question on this one because I got the Texans winning the South. What inspired you to have the Colts win the AFC South?
I mean, just the way they're looking right now. Like I said, they keep playing like that. I definitely could see them winning the South. So yeah. That's fair.
They I mean, again, last week against Miami looked great, and if they continue to play that way, I mean, there's a huge opportunity they could win the South. I picked Houston because I feel like this is still Houston's division until it's not their division no more.
Yeah.
And again, we're going into week 2. A lot of things can shift in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. So, do I feel like Houston can pick things up? I do, but they got to make it happen. I mean. You know, but Indianapolis, that's fair. They are looking good right now. Now, as far as conference champions, who do you got winning the AFC and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl?
I have the Bengals winning that.
You have them winning the AFC?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you got winning the NFC?
Oh, the NFC, the Eagles.
Okay. I have the Eagles winning the NFC as well, but I have the Bills winning the AFC. I've been very high on an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl since last year. I thought it was going to be the Eagles-Bills last year. I do. Who do you got winning the Super Bowl?
The Eagles. Eagles will repeat.
Yeah, I got the Eagles repeating as well. Like I've been saying, I got a top 5 as far as teams completely put together. I still think even though the Eagles looked the way they did last week, I still think they are the most complete team put together. Bills, Ravens, Buccaneers are 4th. So I mean, and the Buccaneers, I mean, close. I would have to put the Packers at 5 right now. I mean, the Packers would have to be number 5. You can't disregard the Packers. So But all right, that's all we got for you guys. Before we get out of here, Cam has some social medias you guys can go out and follow. Make sure you're going checking out everything that Cam is doing on social media, especially Cam's Wrestling Corner. If you like pro wrestling, go check out Cam's Wrestling Corner. His takes on pro wrestling are freaking amazing, and I'm not just saying that because this man is digitally sitting next to me. So go check out what Cam is doing on social. Cam, do you got anything coming up that you want to let people know?
Like I said, it's back to business as always. We're gonna be back on River City Radio, talking about some AEW Dynamite on Wednesday nights. So join us for that with the addition of Phil Khan, of course. Monday night with Monday Night Raw with me and Metalcore Mike, talking some Monday Night Raw, gearing up for WrestlePalooza, which is next Saturday. So definitely looking forward to that as well. So stay tuned for all that as well. And we appreciate you guys coming by and checking out the stream today. We'll be back next Sunday doing some more predictions for week 3 of the NFL. So stay tuned for that as well.
So make sure you're checking out everything Cam is doing on social media. And like he said on Rivet City Radio, Monday nights on the table spot with me and him talking about Monday Night Raw. Get ready for WrestlePalooza next week. And then on Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite, and talking about it on the Boom right after AEW Dynamite. Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat is where you can find me, Metal Mike 714. That's where you can follow me on social media. Make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub's social medias right after we end the show here. And that's going to be in a few moments. You're going to go over on X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. YouTube, you hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow. And make sure you're helping us build the channel here through the 2025 season and beyond. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out today. As I always say, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Good luck to your teams this week. We will see you guys with another episode of the Huddle Hub on Tuesday with myself and John. Deuces.